Peter Sims, the author of Little Bets. You've also worked with Summit Ventures. You've been an associate in a large VC company. Peter, isn't the VC model to make big rather than little bets? Aren't you arguing against the venture model in this book?
Well, that depends. I mean, actually, that's something I would like to argue against, the big bets of some of the venture firms. I think the old way of making investing was, let's find a big addressable, whatever market we think a big market, and let's put a ton of money in, $20, $30 million, and let's let the team go out and sell the product and just get into that market and grab real estate. And I think that's a crazy way to actually build a great company long term. I get why people make the argument that you need to do a land grab, but I think it's actually disempowering to entrepreneurs to think that way. And I think, what we're seeing in Silicon Valley, and it's trickling outwards, is the rise of movements like the lean startup, where you start small, make a lot of little bets, discover the right problems early before you invest a lot of money, and then build from there. And I think that levels the playing field for a lot of entrepreneurs. And Y Combinator is another example of this.
Or Ron Conway or Chris Sacca,
absolutely.
or all these super angels.
The super angels who are really about little bets and picking these entrepreneurs. So I think that's a hugely positive development.
But what about the big VCs, the ones who structurally can only make big bets? Is there still a model, a market for that?
Well, there's much less of them. Certainly when I was doing deals back in the .com
You were
era,
with Summit, right?
With Summit, absolutely. And Summit has a different model. I mean, Summit invests in bootstrap companies for the most part that haven't received capital. But yeah, I mean, I think the traditional VCs are really, moving away from that model. They're trying to get as quickly as possible towards the Y Combinators of the world. They're trying to shift so that they're seen as more entrepreneurial friendly, and it's a big phenomenon that's unfolding right before our eyes right now. And there's still a lot of holdouts.
Is there a level bit below Y Combinator and Ron Conway? I mean, how
below
little
Y
can a
Combinator
bet become?
No, I think that's a good low point. I mean, Y Combinator, 15, 20,000. I mean, that's a little bit. But a little bet, in my definition, is just something that is affordable and achievable to whomever's making that bet.
Do you make bets?
So to answer that question, though, if somebody is working in their job and they're making little bets on the side by starting a blog, by starting, putting out a small experiment, Amazon has cloud computing. It gives everybody a chance to start a business at a very, very, start a technology business at a very affordable price. And so I think the playing field with technology these days is as level as it's ever been and gives people a chance to make very cheap, small bets.
What do you make of the current social media investing scene where, Color just raised, I think it was $41 million before even having a product? Are VCs making too large bets in social now? Does that reflect the sort of the end of the cycle?
I mean, I haven't heard anybody make a good case as to why it's not a huge bubble right now. I mean, the question is just how long it's going to last. It's the same patterns we saw during the .com boom, except it's focused on a very narrow sector.
Why don't people know it? We all talk about it, and everybody knows it. No one's arguing against it, and yet they continue to do it.
Well, I mean, groupthink is a very popular way of investing, right? Where it's like, I talk about it a little bit in the book, one of the hedge fund investors who's done quite well, bet against Enron, bet against Tyco. Jim Chanos calls it the smart guy syndrome, where everybody sits around a table and they say, well, I've got a great idea, and so then everybody goes and makes a bet in that idea because it's just, everybody thinks, they're smart, they're going to make that same bet. But the best investors are contrarian, and so I think a lot of really smart people around Silicon Valley are saying that this is a bubble, and they're calling it for what it is, and it won't surprise any of them when that deflates. I mean, it's just not rational.
And individuals are the ones who make the little bets. The groups make the big bets. Groups can't make small bets, right?
Groups, you mean in terms of?
Or group think. I mean, it really requires individuals to be betting on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, individuals make the bets. But, I mean, when you think about groupthink and you just see how I was at a discussion recently where people went around the table and picked one stock they were long on and one stock they were short on. And you just see how after a few people talk, everybody jumps on the same bandwagon, right? It's just the way things work. And so I think, what I hope people would do with an approach like Little Bets is to constantly be out there thinking on their own, discovering new information that they could use to be making better decisions, whether they're entrepreneurs or investors or people who are just in their job trying to do a better job in what they're doing.